mixing a water. Now, there's a lot of candidates this week for people who might need to mix in a water. I know it's usually me, but I guess we'll ask this first question. The Raiders, they're 3-point favorites at Chicago. And this tweet here says, Brian Hoyer to keep me alive in Survivor Pool. First off, congratulations for still being alive in Survivor. I'm not even sure this is going to be Brian Hoyer. There's been some reports that it could be Aiden O'Connell. Raybon, does this person need to mix in a water? Is this the look for Survivor for a person still alive?
This is definitely a mix in a water. First of all, you don't even know who your quarterback is that you're betting on. You're laying points on the road. So you're just hyper-focused on one side of the matchup with Tyson Bagent, and you're not focused at all on who's going to be starting on the road as a backup, laying 3 points. And mind you, Bagent was great in the preseason. So even if it's Aiden O'Connell, it's kind of cancels out. Both of those guys are really good in preseason. So I wouldn't be this confident. I think this is a coin flip toss-up game. We don't know what's going to happen. It could come down to turnovers. It could come there's not much film on Bagent in regular season. There's only one game of O'Connell. Hoyer's old. This is definitely a mix in the water because you don't even know who your starting quarterback is, bro.
To be fair, that one drive, Brian Hoyer looked like Peyton Manning against the Patriots. I know it's the Patriots, but
it was one good play call. One good play call.
Okay, fair enough.
So, hey, that's a lot. That's a lot, by the way, Raybon, that Josh McDaniels had a good play call. That's important to note. Go ahead, Tim.
Go ahead, Stuck. I'll pass it one more time over.
Okay. Yeah, you got to mix in the water here. I mean, look, maybe if you're in like an enormous contest, right, and you're hoping for chaos, you're still alive. When else are you going to use the Raiders? I mean, they host the Giants in a couple weeks. That's probably the only other time that you would use them. And there's some of these contests out there where it's 20 weeks, right? You have to pick a game on Thanksgiving, a game on Christmas. So in that case, I maybe could see it, but nah, you got to mix in the water. You're using the Raiders on the road, and plus the Bears are upgrading at quarterback with Fields out. So yeah, mix in the water.
not stuck that in there.
Good job there.
All right, let's go to this next one from QB Ranker. He supposes, Raybon, Vikings on the money line. They're sitting around plus 250. They are at home. It's Kirk Cousins, prime time against the Niners. And there are some questions with the Niners as it pertains to their skill guys. McCaffrey, nothing to be considered long-term with the oblique. He could be available. That's per Adam Schefter. Trent Williams, he's day-to-day. Debo's day-to-day. The Niners, yeah, they lost. Moody should have hit the field goal. Feels like they should have won the game anyway, but it's a bounce-back situation for San Francisco. Vikings at home. Does Brant need to mix in a water on taking the Vikings? No points, the money line.
Listen, I'm never going to knock somebody for taking a one-possession dog in a spot where nobody believes in them, but I feel like you missed your spot. I feel like last week when the Niners were, 9.5-point favorites against P.J. Walker on the road, that was the time to fade them with the money line. Now, they already dropped one, heartbreaking fashion. They're going to be on high alert, bounce back spot for them. And this Minnesota team, I just don't know how much it can score without Justin Jefferson. I mean, you put up 19 on the Bears, and didn't you get a defensive score in that one? So, I mean, that's
fumble
that's
6,
pitiful.
yeah.
So I'm going to have to say it's close. Like at least a half a glass of water, because I feel like you're a week late.
Stuck, Kirk Cousins, 2-10 straight up and against the spread on Monday night. 4-3 straight up in prime time since the start of last season. We know how lucky the Vikings were last year, but does Brant need to mix in a water taking the Vikings on the money line?
No, I think he's fine here. I think that the line is a little inflated. I think there's a lot of people betting just on the 49ers to bounce back, but there's some uncertainty with the injuries on San Francisco. I mean, look, it'd be nice if Jefferson was playing, that would really provide a boost here. But with the injury uncertainty, home dog, I think that it could potentially work in Minnesota's favor. So we'll see how Purdy responds in his second straight road game to a bad game that I think just had to do with going up against one of the league's best defenses in bad weather. So I expect him to bounce back here against the Minnesota defense. Like, look, if this San Francisco offense is at full strength, how are you really going to get stops? At least they're doing a good job of not allowing explosive plays. But I think this line's a little bit inflated, and you have the uncertainty with the injuries on the San Francisco side. So when you have uncertainty, that's, when you want to potentially look at a money line underdog. So you're okay here. No need to mix in water.
Yeah, the two of you appreciate the courage of taking a money line dog that's already getting a touchdown. Speaking of dogs, the Chargers, this person, random to, not going to read it. You can actually attach me to this as well. Chargers win outright in Kansas City. I've already bet the Chargers +6. I think I'm also going to taste the money line. So you can use me here as the de facto person. Raybon, do me and random 2-0 bunch of numbers need to mix in a water.
Nah, not on this one. I mean, division game, the line is within a touchdown. These teams always play close. I think every game has been a one possession game in the Justin Herbert era, except one time when it was week 18 or 17, whatever the last week of the season was, and everybody's resting for the Chiefs. So, these games are always close. The Chargers, the thing about the Chargers is it's just prepare for pain if you're taking a money line, because they tend to always lose close, but lose. So it's like they're like Chiefs money line, Chargers spread is probably the optimal bet here, because the Chiefs will book it. They'll win by 3 points, or 2 or 3 points on a last second Harrison Butker field goal or something like that. But no need to mix in the water. This is the Chargers are a live dog here.
Yeah, let me lay it out. Herbert 2-4 in his career against Kansas City, but the 4 losses by 3 points, 3 points, 3 points, and 6 points. This Kansas City team hasn't been overly explosive, at least as explosive as we are used to seeing them, and know that they are capable of being. Couple that in with the Chargers lose in front of all of America on Monday Night Football. Stuckey, I also know that you've told me a million times, Mahomes, they're smart. He knows to kneel it out. They don't necessarily care about running it up. Does that all have something to do with this as well?
Yeah, except he couldn't do that against Denver, and then ironically, and then they ended up getting a field goal late. Usually he would get a first down there. But yes, this person needs to mix in the water. Why? Because take the points. This is the one time where the points are important, because we've seen this movie every single week for, forever. The Chargers, all they do is play one possession games. They usually come up short. I think 20 of their past 25 games, which is insane, have been decided by one possession. And you mentioned it in this particular series. Herbert is 5-1 against the spread, should be 6-0. That 6-point loss that you mentioned came in overtime. So at the end of regulation, the Chargers have either been winning, tied, or have trailed by 3 or less in all 6 meetings between Herbert and Mahomes. So the points are important because, and then look, the Chiefs can't really cover as big favorites. So what's going to happen here? Chargers going to have the ball with it's like Rivers never left. Chargers going to have the ball with 2 minutes left, down 3, or the other options are down 10 at the end, and then they will get in the back door. You got to take the points here. Points are important. If you want to sprinkle a little on the money line, you can, but take the points. And for what it's worth, look, situationally on the surface, Chargers short rest, Chiefs long break. They played on Thursday night. Chiefs at home. One narrative that gets way over pushed now is Andy Reid with extra rest. 9+ days to prepare in between games. 10-13 against the spread at Kansas City. But you need the points here. The points are important because the Chargers. There's only one thing we can really trust the NFL. They're going to Charger.
They in their 2 meetings last year, Kansas City won both by 3, but in both of those games, week 2 and then later in the year in November, the Chargers had at least a touchdown lead in both of those games and still found a way, to Stuckey's point, to Charger. looking at the Action app,
that Gerald Everett quit on the route like that. I still remember that. Like Gerald Everett still needs to mix in the water for that game last year where he quit on the route and Herbert throws a pick six, and that's why it ended up being a 3-point loss, and the Chargers are about to go in for a touchdown. So Gerald Everett
they also dropped like 5 picks in that game.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys aren't sickos or anything for remembering every single play ever, but no. Moving on, Glash.
Oh, come on, Tim. You're just like this with hockey. Give me a break. You remember crap like that, too. Okay? Biggest public betting site, according to the Action app. Tickets and money coming in on the Cleveland Browns. They upset the Niners with P.J. Walker at quarterback. They are getting 80% of the bets, 84% of the cash. Cleveland -3 against Indy. See some 2.5s out there now as well. Indy's a home dog. Raybon, does the public back in Cleveland need to mix in a water?
I'm going to say yes, only because I love Cleveland's defense, but only because this is another situation where you're laying points on the road, you're a week late, and you have no idea what's going on at the quarterback situation. So it's I don't mind it if we get some more clarity and, okay, you handicap the game. Okay, Cleveland's aside, but I just feel like the entire public on the Browns laying points on the road against a feisty Colts team who probably has their better quarterback playing. It's just I'm going to say yes. Mix in the water. Too much love for the Browns. And again, it's a week late. Like the Browns just got the upset over the Niners. Yes, the Browns are nasty, but 85-90% of the public, that's too much.
Glash, it's a good thing we paid. We got Tony Romo for cheap on this show. Chris Raybon, every single time we ask him, I don't know, it might be a half a watt, it might be a little bit. So, yeah, thanks, Raybon. Tony Romo Jr. over here. Say it with your chest.
I just said that. I said it's you a week late. What are you talking about?
Well, and
you don't know what you're talking about. So you're Tony Romo. You need to mix in a water, Timothy.
And Tony Romo has the luxury of being in production meetings and getting news on what's going to happen at quarterback. And by Sunday, now to Raybon's credit, Romo still sounds lost even when he has all the information in front of him and we know who's playing at quarterback. But anyway, that's neither here or there.
Tony Romo does not. I'm pretty sure Tony Romo does not go to production meetings.
Tony Romo could mix in the water at production meetings and at the games.
Neither do
you. Watson said today that he isn't sure if he'll practice or play Stuck against the Colts, knowing that murkiness at the quarterback position. Public's on Cleveland regardless, so they need to mix in a water.
Yeah, you got to mix in a water here. You're chasing. You're probably buying high a little bit, especially with Watson out. And it's really hard to trust this Browns offense on the road to win as favorites. I've been saying all year that the defense is the best in the league, and they are. I mean, teams are converting just 23% of third downs against them. The next best is 31%. But, in the NFL market, although the public's crushing it this year, they're hitting like 70%, so maybe they don't need to mix in the water. But look, in the NFL market, you really want to – it's kind of like the stock market. You want to kind of buy low and sell high. There's going to be ebbs and flows. And look, the Colts got blown out last week, even though they outgained the Jags by like 150 yards. And, the Browns beat the 49ers in the ultimate hype spot at home in weather where they could rely on their defense. I don't think it's going to be as easy this week. There's also like a letdown component. Like they just pulled off that upset. Now you're going on the road to Indianapolis. So, yeah, you got P.J. Walker, trusting him on the road, laying points. They got to mix in a water. Like Raybon said, week late.